Okay, so drag car's on the hoist because, as you would have seen in the previous video, it's broken. Wait, we're done. We're done. Yeah, like, subscribe, thanks. We gotta spend a bunch more money. We already have the transmission out. It took me a bit of time to source a differential. I think we bought pretty much the only Peloquin diff that was available in North America. And there is a higher torque version of this diff, which this was not. So I had it directly shipped to Gary at Peloquin, who I've been dealing with for probably a decade or more. And he got this rebuilt and out the door ASAP. So we're ready to tear the transmission apart and assess the damage and get it rebuilt with the new diff. And then we're going to ship them back our old diff, see if we can salvage it. So let's start tearing the tranny apart. Now we have to get this in here. First thing is I gotta drain the fluids, and then I'll start tearing it all apart piece by piece. It doesn't take much to get these apart. And with the dog box or the gear set, the straight cut gears, it's definitely gonna make things a lot easier because there's only 4 gears in here and no synchros and stuff. So I'm gonna put it on time lapse and we'll start tearing it apart. So for those that haven't seen inside of an O2A transmission, obviously this has been converted to a 4-speed and it's all straight cut gears, so no synchros. These are the shifter levers or shifter forks, whatever you want to call them in this thing. And keep in mind I'm like super messy and I'm trying to film this at the same time, but it's pretty simple. This is part of the reverse assembly. I still got to undo that bolt. But these 2 stacks are going to come out and I'm going to take the diff out and I got to get the ring gear off it and get it onto the new diff. And then we'll have to do some check some tolerances and stuff like that before we can get it back together. But I'm going to pull this apart, pull the stack apart, and just take a look and make sure there's nothing abnormal or weird going on. I haven't had this apart in probably, I don't know, 2 years or so, and it's had a lot of runs on the dyno, and it's definitely had some track time before it's been last apart. So we just got to look at it a little bit closer. So I'm going to set the camera down and start pulling this apart. So where I would have stopped with the time-lapse GoPro stuff is I had to get the VSF's ring off of the old diff because the new diff, which I purchased, was actually a scratch and dent version, and somebody had pressed the bearing on without putting the speed ring on it. So I had to take it off the old one, take the bearing off, take the bearing off this one, switch it over, press the new bearing on. So all that's happened. We've now got the ring gear off, putting the ring gear on the new diff, and we're going to start putting it back together. Clayton, what are you doing?
Well, right now I'm using this device called a measuring tape.
Playing with cardboard?
Pretty much.
So we're going to make a new weight plate for the drag car also, since we've fixed the differential problem. We're going to try to take a little bit of, I made this plate originally for kind of a temporary use setup, and it's a 1-inch thick plate that I'm not sure how much it weighed, 130 pounds, something like that, but we have no way of adjusting the weight in it, so we're going to rebuild the plate in a smaller or thinner steel plate, and then we'll be, which will probably be 70 pounds maybe, something like that, and then we'll be able to add some additional weight to it as needed, because right now we think we might have just a bit too much weight for what we're trying to do with this new setup. So another change, we'll see if we can, this will help the problem. Right, Clayton?
Yep.
This is a 3/8 thick piece of mild steel that I happen to have here. Unfortunately, my plasma table isn't as big as this piece that we need to cut, so we're going to be cutting this out by hand like peasants. So we've got the plasma cutter all set up, and we're just going to probably try to run a straight edge along this to make it as straight as possible without butchering it too much. It doesn't really get seen, but it would be nice to not have it totally haggard. We'll have to do a few holes and stuff in it, which I don't have drawn in it yet, but we're going to start making some sparks.
So this is a little bit easier than the grinder.
A lot easier.
Look at that cut. Yeah. Bro, can you imagine doing that with a like a cutoff wheel?
Your glasses look good.
They look cool?
I look like, what, Stevie Wonder?
They're pretty bad.
Pretty good by hand.
Better than cutoff wheels.
Way better than cutoff wheels. You probably would have died multiple times. Almost died.
Yeah, we still got a
A
couple
little bit of
of
cleanup and some holes. Let's get to the holes.
So we did a very poor job at filming the rest of what we did with the plate, but basically we cut the first plate, the whole length to mimic this plate over here, and we wanted to shave about 50 pounds. That plate, this plate here, weighed what, 147?
Yeah.
So when we weighed just the thinner plate, it weighed in at about 57. So we need to make up a little bit of weight there. So what we did is we cut another plate pretty much to mimic it again, the same thickness, put it underneath, but only went over probably what, 3/4 or so to here. And that got us to our weight of 100 pounds.
100 pounds right on.
Yeah. So then we had to just redo where we had the fuel pump, how we had that mounted just to the plate. The battery as well. And that's it. So just trying to button it up. We decided not to paint the plate. We just put some...
WD-40'd it all.
Yeah.
Keep it. This is potentially temporary, so we're doing it for testing.
Yeah. And what's the idea of this again? To help the bogging off the line?
Yeah, to help. Exactly that. Help. Hopefully it doesn't load the engine down too much, and it'll just keep making boost, and we'll go this way instead of going like this.
And if it ends up not being enough weight, we still have this.
Yeah, we still have another 50 pounds. We'll take that off. It doesn't take long now that we've got this one done to take that off and put this one back on if we start getting somewhere.
Cool.
But the car was, with me in it before, we did all the changes with the bigger turbo and the different intercooler and the bigger battery. It was 2440 with me in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say I'm probably the same weight, maybe a couple pounds less than before.
Yep.
No, about the same weight. And the car now weighs 2,500. So we've added about 60 pounds to the car previously, so that could have also been a little bit of the problem because we weren't working with exactly what we had before. So we're going to try to make it more like it was before.
Ooh, and the other good part is that we want to shave like I said, 50 pounds off. And not although that we took 50 pounds off of this side because we only took a little bit of the plate out, but we did save a little bit of weight from that side to hopefully help with the weight difference side to side.
Yeah, because there was about 20 pounds, I think, more on the driver's side.
Sweet.
The last time we scaled it.
Yeah, so it should be perfect.
We'll find out.
Barrett, you're not helping. Well, we made it. Just trying to unload, film as much as possible. We're down a little bit of the pit crew, but we'll make do. Kale's behind the lens. That's great.
What happened?
No idea.
I would say an axle broke.
Fuck.
There's nothing on the track though, was there?
No. Good to see. Oh, you left a couple pieces on the track, yes.
It did?
Yeah.
What was it?
I don't know. They're the ones that told me. I was like, oh, broken axle. Like, yeah, there's pieces of it on the track.
Crappy part about that is...
Everything?
Well, yeah, we drove 4 hours to get here to break it instantly. And it could have been hurt from when the diff broke. And we didn't know. I mean, technically, we should have taken all the axle inners out, checked them all. We're not that high level production, so we just obliterated an axle, and those are not cheap. So what do we say? I like spending money.
Yeah.
The axles are like, for these ones they're like 2,300 US.
2,300?
US for a pair, yeah. So in Kentucky dollars, that's like $7 million.
Canadian. Walk of shame, right?
Yeah, except I'm not wearing like my
High heels?
yeah my mini skirt, and my makeup isn't like all over my face. But it feels sort of like a walk of shame.
But really, you did get f***ed.
I did. I did.
What are we finding here?
Well, this isn't supposed to be like this.
Pushed out.
And actually, I could move it last night, I thought. But this is the bigger problem.
Pretty much what we thought.
Yeah. See, she's obliterated. So let's get it out. So I find it weird that this is loose.
What? I don't.
If this moved last night, right?
No, it just did not move. So it broke and jammed its way through this way a bit. It might have wrecked the hub.
No, I don't.
No, it did. I remember looking at it. It was this. The first thing I noticed was this pushed out a lot. Easiest way we've ever removed the axle by. Holy shit! That's nasty.
Yeah.
You did a number on that one.
Yeah. Cheap. They're cheap. You know? They're super cheap. So I'd like to
Smash that out with a hammer. You're not taking it out through that way, so it's gonna go back.
I need a hammer though. I don't know if I have a hammer.
You didn't bring a hammer? David.
Hold it again. I'm hitting that harder than you're hitting.
You getting
level on that cable commander, 1037 and 130. I think that's
Look
a
how strong I am.
for Dom right there. 1037 in the cable commander.
Hammers. That's pretty primitive tool.
Curtis Newcomb bringing it in left side of the track. 66 Clement Alliance. On the right side, forward Dago.
Forgets a hammer, especially Dad's hammer. That's crazy. It's split, not just shear the splines off. Can't hear a thing guaranteed, but like cracked it all. Like that's. It would have had to get damaged during the last from the diff wreck, I'd say. There's no other, like nothing else makes sense.
As I say, folks, getting a lot of water off the cars. You can see all. 47, 102 on the right side of the barrel. Ed Gilbert bringing it in, 72 Dodge Demon on the left side, on the right side.
No, I think we'll be okay actually. I thought that would all be mangled. I mean, clearly it's mangled, but.
Yeah, I think the only thing that was holding it in there really tight was like they're slightly bent and there's a couple burrs there, so.
Yeah, but that means
You're in the light.
the up is good.
On the light.
You're in the light.
That's a new one for the scrap pile, I guess.
Lined up beside him, that is
One of the guys I was talking to over there called us young guys. We're the young guys here. Well, he saw me, he didn't see Dave. So.
Different story.
Yeah.
.1005, 137 miles an hour for Lehman on the left side. Frizzle's 1056, 122. After lane, into full construction lane. Look at nice beach there. What rides are running? .789, 170 miles an hour on the right side. Toombs goes 775 at 187. Dave Rowe now bringing it in at Chris Bay. Miles an hour for Matheson on the left side.
Just sit in the middle and.
If there's anything at all, they better than street tires. No hope with the street tire. I think Scott Bailey's gonna leave him in the dust on that light turn train.
On that spacer, like look.
XL plating. Danny's mini excavator.
Dreaming or what?
Yeah, it doesn't even seem right.
Why?
Just that little motorhome towing that thing, man. I mean, that's a stacker with a hoist in it, and it's bigger than the motorhome.
Are you gonna sell your house? And
I asked him all the questions. He's like, we've been to New Jersey, we've been all over with it.
Sweet.
Bring it out, Michael Como on the game rack. Bring up the Camaro. Big block Chevy power into the Camaro for Zobo. last week. Horsepower, and that thing's best ET in a quarter mile is a 589 at 252. In the 8th mile half track, a 3